next head-to-head matchup. Dignitas just so solid thus far in the fall split. Undefeated, defeating Mouse, Energy, and Rival. And Obey, on the flip side, have been doing a good job as well, beating out SK, Rival, losing to Energy. No real surprise this time around, as Energy's got that fire underneath of them. So this particular matchup is going to come down to, I think, honestly, a little bit of the mid lane matchup. It's going to be a lot of Zyrhoes action up against PrettyPriMe.
Yeah, I think that's a good one to kind of zero in on and see exactly how that matchup ends up going, because this is a big test between the two of them, right? They've already beaten Dignitas, already beat Energy and Rival. Obey are kind of the last true test in Europe to see exactly where they stand. So if they can grab it, then they certainly would be looking like the top team, at least in this online phase so far. But I did have a chance, since this match was so important, you know, to talk with Obey to get a little bit more of their thoughts going into this one. We got their interview standing by. All right, I'm sitting down here with Hazer, coach for Obey, and I've been wanting to talk with you so much here, Hazer, because y'all have come out of the gate looking really strong here in fall, and spring and summer were a little bit rough. Just kind of talk to me a little bit about what you all have done, you know, to make the big adjustments here in fall and look like we know that you all can look as strong as you know you all are.
Yeah, so in general, we knew the split was going to be the most important of the year coming into Worlds. You know, that's obviously everyone's goal. Winning other tournaments is nice, but Worlds is the one that, you know, everybody wants to win. You know, we have two-time Worlds finalist losers on the team, so it would be nice to get them a win. So we've been putting a lot of time into the game, a lot of time into, you know, theory crafting, a lot of time into even ranked, a lot of time into scrims. This split, I know, like, we work hard every split, but this split we really took it up a notch, and you know, are just trying to immerse ourselves in Smite to get as good as possible and to be involved in the game as much as possible, which I think has helped us out a lot.
Well, do you think the mid-season patch kind of helped with that too? Because it's almost like a reset. So much changes. It gives you all a chance to sort of get out in front, because it feels like you all have maybe the best understanding of the meta right now, you and Dignitas. Do you feel like that helped you all out here too?
Yeah, so we scrim dig a lot as well, which helped. So the two of us, I think we got a little head start on the other teams. But yeah, little changes like the Freya change and stuff, I think we got a good handle on how to abuse her strength in pressure in the early game. And yeah, I definitely think a shake-up of the meta always suits us, because I think that particularly Twig and Nate are two of the smartest Smite players in the world, I'd say. So I think it always gives us a bit of an advantage, because we can look at items, look at new god changes, and we generally get a good idea of how to abuse that a little bit faster than other teams, I think. So yeah, we just got to keep looking at the meta as it changes with the new nerfs coming through and stuff like that, and try and find new things to exploit and just stay ahead of the other teams.
All right, well, you don't have to give away too much here, but I know you said that you and Dig have been scrimming each other. Before you go into this match, I mean, how confident are you all feeling? Is there anything that you all feel like that in particular you can exploit, or just where's y'all's mindset going into this match?
Yeah, we're confident. We know it's a really big week for us, playing Dig and then playing Mouse as well afterwards. Yeah. So this is really going to decide how we look going into the second half of the split, which I think is like, if we win both games, then us and Dig are sitting head and shoulders above the other teams. You know, if we lose both, then we're right back down at 2 and 3. So it's massive for us. We're confident going into Dig. We've been, you know, watching a lot of their stuff back, trying to figure out what we can do. I'm obviously not going to give away any specifics.
Right.
But you know, we've played against those guys a lot of times over the last year or so. So we know little things that we can exploit, and hopefully we can manage to pull it out of the bag.
All right, well, good luck to y'all in that set. It's always great to get a chance to talk with you, Hazer. Thanks for sitting down. And of course, I hope it's a good set here with y'all and Dig.
Thanks very much, Finch.
I really do always enjoy getting to have a chance to talk there with Hazer. I feel like one of those people that really just understands Smite, and it's great to hear from him. And they've been scrimming here with Dig a good bit, probably, I think, because they were the two that didn't go to LAN a little bit more time to kind of scrim with each other and become partners as a result. So they feel confident going here into this matchup.
I'm sure there's going to be a lot of mind games between these two teams. Whenever there's scrim partners up against one another, there's going to be unorthodox bans more than anything.
Yes, it always makes the picks and ban phase very, very interesting when the two are scrim partners. So I'm excited to see how those two end up going, or how they end up once they get underway. But Obey recognized totally how important that this week is for them, essentially. This is the week that can send them into the second half of the split, right up there with Dignitas, or kind of right down the middle of the pack where they've been all season, really.
Momentum is the key factor, especially for the second half of the split. If you can get the early wins now, and then you can just play solid solid in the second half, I think that Obey has a good shot. They've surprised, I think, a lot of fans at home with their victory over Rival, and if they can find a victory versus Dignitas, they might be the ones being in the discussion for the top 2, top 3.
Yeah, and Dignitas have recognized this is a team worthy of continuing scrimming that they can get very valuable practice from. We all know that, of course, but with the way they've been playing in Season 5, they've kind of got to show it to us here when it actually matters, and those games are in practice. And it looks like for that, they don't have to worry about Morrigan or Saket. They've taken both of those off the table. A bit of an eye towards Qvo and Zyrhoes, I imagine. I think Zyrhoes probably the premier Morrigan player. I think that'd be safe to say at this point, so can't let him have it.
No surprise there to be able to ban that away, but look what Dignitas banned away. The Erlong Shen from Obey Alliance.
Yeah.
This is that unorthodox banning situation that we were talking about. Normally when we think of these gods, we think of Ice Ice Baby playing it, we think of even Sino playing it from North America. Sure. I don't necessarily think of this as a particular CaptainTwig god. I know his god pool is very vast. He's played even Guardians. Yep. He'll go into the utility style, which is a great strength to have as a jungler, willing to sacrifice some of your own key highlight plays to be able to benefit off of others.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not saying that it's unheard of that Twig could be nuts on this Erlong, but the confidence to ban it right here with their first ban shows that they probably have experienced it firsthand, I'd imagine, totally in their scrim, so they don't want to deal with it. And the Athena Chernobog are available now for Obey. A ton of rotational ability between Defender of Olympus and that Living Nightmare. They're going to be zipping around the map.
Baron Samedi probably going to go to Variety. He's been tweeting how he's, the Baron main, and without any teams banning it away from him, he's still going to remain that Baron main. Amaterasu more than likely going to go to Trixtank, and that late game mobility just so powerful.
It really can be. I like. We've seen a little bit more Amaterasu, right? Especially in the support role. The auras can be very powerful for her. Even the power aura, just sort of in lane to help out with clearing, help out with their boxing potential can be strong as well. There's a lot of potential there. And Dazzling Offensive is such a strong initiation tool. Oh, yeah. It's so hard to get away from it.
I'll always miss the old Guan Yu ult, the old magical Guan Yu ultimate.
Oh, sure.
That's the Dazzling Offensive ultimate. Yeah. The sounds was just mystical, honestly. Sobek and Athena locked in. It was dazzling, some might say. Athena and Sobek, the best two Guardians probably outside Ymir for control in these team fights. Right. I like the selections here. It allows more breathing room now for Chernobog, whether that's going to go in the mid lane for PrettyPriMe or for Nate.
I do like this Mercury selection coming in. That feels like a Twig special there to me, so I wouldn't be surprised if the one that ends up playing it. And there's been some talk about Mercury maybe not having that much early presence, but his early presence really comes more in the form of setup, right? Like, he hits you with the Sonic Boom, he hits you with the special delivery, and then you can have some teammates follow up.
As fast as Baron somebody might be, no one's faster than Mercury at the end of the day. Even with the Amaterasu passive mobility, it's going to be difficult to outrun the fastest god alive, but you have Janus by your side with some portals. That might help.
Just walk through the walls. That might do it, right?
That might do it.
Just catch right back up with them. Even Batz there for that Fear No Evil. You talked about some of the tools they have. When you're going with the warrior support instead of having the Guardian, they don't have any, or they don't really have that big tank presence. Fear No Evil is a big control tool that can sort of mend that up a little bit. I like having that Batz in there.
And speaking of control, Puch, last pick for Obey Alliance. You add Gem of Isolation, you empty the crypts. All those zombies going to be enabling that slowing minefield. A lot of burst damage from Obey Alliance as well.
Well, who do you think's going to win this game? Make sure chat. I know y'all are big fans of the Puch, so y'all might be voting along with Prime just enough on seeing that. But definitely want to get y'all's thoughts on that. Make sure you vote for us now. That he really was, I feel like, one of the first ones to kind of be like, hey, Puch is pretty good. He had that big Titan defense, some excellent play from him. So I expect we'll see this look pretty good for Obey.
I'm excited to see how this game pans out. I think if it gets to the super late game, Obey should actually have this. I'm confident in CaptainTwig's ability.
Let's see if they make it to that stage, or if maybe Dignitas can slow them down before they get there. Either way, we'll find out with that game in action. Let's get it over to the casters, see what happens.
Thank you so much, Analyst X. Myself and Aggro will be bringing you this hotly anticipated matchup, honestly, between Dignitas and Obey. Both these teams been around a long time. They're considered a top 4 team, both of them, but both would love to be number 1 in the standings, or at least 2. To make sure they got to Will.
Top 2 is what everyone's shooting for, without a doubt. And both of these teams, well, Dignitas has a path that I think has gotten significantly easier based on their early split performance, going undefeated thus far, going up against Rival and Energy, puts them in a great spot to be top 2. And Obey as well, their victory over Rival was huge, but then they really fall flat up against Energy. This is a key game to figure out where Obey is.
We've had a triangle of death in Europe, so to speak, of one team beating another, but Dignitas technically with Obey coming into the fray now, it could be a square, but it all depends if Obey can actually beat Dignitas here.
Yes, that would.
That was really convoluted, but I knew what I meant.
No, because Energy... Oh, yeah, because Rival beat Energy.
Yeah.
Energy beat Obey. If Obey beats Dig and Dig beat Energy, which they did, then you're right.
If Dig beats Obey, then the cycle of life is
just
complete.
The best. Yeah, then Dig is just the best.
Number one, potentially. Xaliea, iRaffer, and Twig all set up for a play. Dashing from iRaffer. Has Xaliea got pluck is the question. Because if he did, but there's 4 men here
I don't know
of Dignitas. I think they've made some mistakes. Xalia's going to TP out just in time. iRaffer, though, will have his dash. No one's going to die here. But a lot of things were consumed. Quite a few relics, actually.
Yes, the shells on both sides, the teleport from Xaliea. Variety's able to stay A-OK, doesn't need to use his relics. Prime, this is something that Obey's been doing, giving Prime speed buff in the early game and letting Twig go around and do something else. And on a lot of characters, I don't think it's very bad. Mercury speed buff acts as red and speed for Mercury.
That's
so
fair.
This is a huge difference in Twig's clear speed by getting red buff, in that he's not getting that same amount of movement speed or the power from the speed buff. I mean, yes, he's got red buff, but still, I like this start less when Twig is Mercury than when he's on a character that isn't as speed buff reliant.
Well, the one issue is that with PrettyPriMe playing the Puch, there's a few mages like this in the mid lane without an escape. So he's going to have to stand and bang to an extent. So having that speed, that extra mobility, will prevent him from being ganked as much by Zyrhoes, who's got a lot of mobility, and of course the Batz.
Sure, but he also could have just gotten red buff and been able to stand and hold his ground better as is, and that's what the character is supposed to do in that spot. So there is some advantage to giving him speed buff, yes, but I think it's less about that and more about Obey wanted to try and get this weird start going so that Dignitas would be thrown off guard.
Talk about this start as well. Notice how the supports have both began things in the middle area. No one's gone to the duo lane yet, leaving Arkkyl and Ataraxia to farm up. This is already a telling sign that these hunters were going to make a big part in this game as it continues if they go unchecked.
This is something that we saw a lot of last year, where hunters are just kind of left alone to their own devices, and we'll see you at 20 minutes when you guys are level 20. And I don't think we'll see that in this particular matchup. Both of these junglers can gank duo pretty well. Mercury more so than Batz, because it's very hard to ward against the Mercury lane gank of Sonic Boom. But I think that I would like to see some amount of pressure on the duo lane from these junglers, because the solo lane is going to be hard to gank, specifically for Twig.
You say that, but then I look at the two hunters in question, I'm like, well, they're both hard to gank too on their own. Living Nightmare and obviously the ult from Arkkyl and Rama, they can take themselves out of combat if they can get it off in time. It's about burst, I guess, in this lane matchup. If you don't burst in time, you're going to be fine.
Trix is here, but this isn't so much a gank as it is relieving some pressure on Arkkyl, as well as...
a gank.
Oh, I mean, he showed up in the lane.
Here's a gank. That's what most junglers in my rank games do. And they go, I gank for you, and I'm going to lane tax now. That's what Trix is doing.
That's exactly what Trix is doing, whereas iRaffer is staying a lot more around the mid lane. And it makes sense to have iRaffer spend more time in mid because, as you mentioned, Ataraxia is fairly safe on this Chernobog with Living Nightmare, whereas PrettyPriMe doesn't have that safety in the mid lane. So having that shell with him in mid, that extra body to absorb some cooldowns, is going to help.
Taunt onto Qvo, and Prime's there for a bit of follow-up damage where possible. Red buff has spawned and 3 members there, but Zyrhoes in the mid lane has to use the beads, as Twig did a very good job of just being on the tower edge. He did eat one shot of the tower, but everybody else from Dig weren't aware.
I love that aggressiveness from CaptainTwig, and Zyrhoes just kind of gets caught in no man's land as Janus, which is the dead center of the lane, nowhere for him to... Normally, I think if Zyrhoes is next to a wall, knowing that taunt cooldown was down from iRaffer, and PrettyPriMe had just used Corpse Explosion, you're not in that much danger, but being how far he was away from all the walls, that was going to be an extra 2.5 seconds or so before he can get to a wall, decides to play it safe rather than sorry. Probably would have survived, but I understand his thought process.
It would have been a base for sure
at
that moment, which he did anyway to get his boots upgraded to the full set as well. Keep an eye on the itemization throughout the game. Variety going for the Mage's Blessing, Xaliea going for the Guardian's Blessing. So a couple of blessings in the solo lane this time. We don't always see. We've seen a little bit today of more of the Berserker Shield, which is bringing back the Osiris's, the Erlangs, and the Bellonas.
But Sobek and Baron still going to do what they do, which is stalemate lanes pretty well, survive, and then come to the late game team fights and just do more than you as an auto attack assassin. And I wonder if this is going to be, if this Berserker Shield is enough to bring back the likes of Osiris and Erlang and Bellona to the solo lane. I think more so Osiris and Bellona than Erlang, because Erlang's kind of cemented himself in the jungle for now, but I still think he's definitely very viable in the solo lane. It's just that when he does that much damage, why wouldn't you put him in jungle?
Completely agree. And he can even work out in a support role as well, Erlang's at times into the right sort of composition. Arkkyl level 6, Ataraxia level 6, both working for a very similar build. Boots first, although Ninja Tabby for Ataraxia here. And they're both working for what more than likely will be Devo's Gauntlets. But we have seen a couple of Bloodforges now and again.
That's usually in the matchups where you're against something like Freya or Kronos, where you can't really afford to wait for your lifesteal stacks to come up and you need them right away. It's your lifesteal and you need it now. That's when you get Bloodforge. But in matchups like this, it'll be Devourer's Gauntlets for sure.
Meanwhile, in the jungle position, it's going to be probably Jotuns for QvoFred, which you see most of the time on Batz's for that cooldown reduction, and maybe a Katana for Twig.
It is Europe, so you might see a Brawler's Beatstick here from Qvo because there's any amount of lifesteal sustain at all, then they love their anti-heal. But I imagine it'll be a Jotuns, maybe a Crusher to up his clear speed because it makes your auto attacks go so much faster that it really does up your jungle camp clear. But I think Jotuns is the obvious selection for Qvo. Twig has a couple options, but
Variety's got no options right now. He's going to get pulled all the way in here. Look, and the water's consumed. Space and time fired off. Variety under some pressure, but gets out through the portal. Xaliea with a tail whip, but still could be in trouble.
Variety gets hit by Sonic Boom, but Xalia's first blood for Trixtank, and the dazzling offensive iRaffer very easily could be next. Good patience with that dash and baiting everyone towards Prime, but he's just here to keep everybody away. That is just a textbook through space and time from Zyrhoes. And he doesn't even rotate. I mean, he's like, that
you guys
have
got this. I'm going to farm up the mid lane and make sure that Prime gets punished for that rotation.
It's also that Variety, during Life of the Party, is inching closer and closer towards that wall. And that's how you can tell that these players have played together with this style of composition a lot. Just having a Janus on your team, you need to learn how to play a little bit differently. And that is one area where you can really see it, is players moving towards walls. Variety puts himself in a perfect position, not to go through during his ultimate, but as soon as it's completed to make sure he's safe.
The word you talk about there really is trust in your teammates more than anything else, and knowing what sort of player Zyrhoes is. Not every Janus player plays it that way. Some just like to play for themselves and play aggressive. Zyrhoes is a supportive member of this team when he needs to be.
It's so perfect because it gives you portals away for Variety, and if the fight is going well, then in towards the most optimal escape route, which is a little bit underneath towards the lane, and then up. That portal cuts off that escape as well. I mean, that's the stuff that makes me excited to watch Janus. I know a lot of players aren't as excited to watch Janus as I am.
He's been around a long time. That's
I love that stuff, man.
Little bit of a disadvantage for Dig, though. The kill did go to Trixtank. Granted, you know, he's going to be a warrior support, so having that bonus experience in gold is going to be useful for him to get some of those core items online. Already going for some magical defense. Not a real surprise when I'm worried about Arpwash burst damage.
That is the primary worry without a doubt. I do like his Arpwash pick in some ways against the Amaterasu, because Ama, if she presses 1, will get stunned by Fleeting Breath.
Well, QvoFred's going to use his beads early on there during the plug, but the Fear No Evil after the fact did make up for it. Rafa's going to ult on to CaptainTwig, and Twig actually aimed on Stable Vortex there. Nobody dead just yet, but quite a few ultimates consumed.
Zyrhoes had to use the beads off the taunt from Raffer as well. Love that turnaround from QvoFred. Hits the boosh beads and then is able to make up for it pretty quickly. Though through space and time, that time from Zyrhoes wasn't quite able to get it done.
Can you still call him boosh beads after so long?
Yeah, Boosh is the king, dude. What do you mean?
He was.
Yeah, and I'm paying reverence, my respect to Boosh. Those are Boosh beads every time.
Every time?
Every time.
I think after like 2 seasons of him being gone, it's okay.
Nope. Boosh beads, baby.
All right then. Well, approaching 9 minutes in, build's still coming along nicely. The Oracle's not available at the moment. The left-hand Harpies are, and Obey will take those for themselves. It's about a 600 gold lead, I'd say, give or take, between these two teams.
If you can come up with something catchier than Boosh beads, I'm all ears, but I just don't think you can. It's alliteration. It sounds good. It's got a good mouth feel when you say it, and it references the Boosh. That's a win-win-win in my book.
Okay. I'll let you have it. I can't think of one right now.
Exactly.
I probably will halfway through the cast, but that'll probably be too late.
Well, no, let me know. Let me know.
We'll find out.
We could have up to 3 games here, Graham. I mean, we got time.
We'll get 3 in this one?
I think it's more likely that Dignitas 2-0s.
Not going that way. That's kind of where I'm like,
yeah, we haven't
been a split like that.
It's been a little bit since it feels like we've had a best of 3. I know CLG had one with what was that, Luminosity or Splice at the very end of last week. So maybe that was Splice that I was up against. That's really been the only best of 3 that I can think of as of late.
Funny enough, though, talk about look at this game specifically, Batz is someone that we're seeing a little bit more of a resurgence of. Was it because of the overhand smash change? Because that's the only thing that changed him.
It was also the passive change, where instead of getting the
course.
crit, he now has mini Hydra's Lament.
Would you rather have Lament over crit?
It is more consistent, but less high-end. And so I think, for
reliability
me personally,
versus
right. In my mind, I would much rather have the Hydra's Lament passive just because I get crit every time.
Oh, okay.
And so I don't want to play against.
I'm an RNG factor player. I'll gamble those. QvoFred
Of course,
gambled
yeah, you're the gambler.
over those left-hand harpies there, but got away with it as Twig in the mid lane got poked a little bit by Trixtank. Dignitas kind of just sitting back a little bit here and allowing Obey to play their game and then look to turn it around.
This is pretty classic Dignitas. They really don't like to play early game compositions as much. They'd rather out team fight you. And that's why I really like Obey's composition, because it team fights so well. I mean, tons of CC. Their late game is incredible, so Dignitas can't sit on their hands forever and just let this go into the very hyper late game, because they will get outfought. And they also have to worry about the 2 global ultimates from Obey Alliance, meaning that if they try and take a fight, say in solo lane or in mid lane, Obey can just easily get numbers where Dignitas can't. And so a lot of times against global ultimate compositions like this, you want to take the fight to the global ultimates themselves. Living Nightmare is an insane ultimate.
Yep.
Unless you're ganking duo lane, in which case it's really not very good at all. So I'd like to see Dignitas when they start to fight, because it's only a matter of when, with the XP lead that they have in the jungle in particular, to fight around this Gold Fury, but make sure Ataraxia and iRaffer are in and invested beforehand. Don't let them try and split the map and then join in with their ultimates.
We mentioned the Hunters earlier on, and it seems to be coming true. Look at them. They're both already level 12, have their second relics online before the 12-minute mark, and this is all down to the Guardians, or the supports in this case, I should say, not paying attention to the duo lane at all. They're keeping pace with the solo laners, which means solos and hunters are going to be the order when it gets to a big old team fight.
Poor Prime and Zyrhoes, man. It was a good time in the sun for mid laners getting farmed by themselves, and now everyone remembers that this is the one-stop shop for XP and gold in the mid lane, and all of our golden days are already gone.
You sound like a mid laner.
I know. It's because I identify with their plight. I do. I don't understand this rush against Mage's Blessing in the mid lane. Book of Thoth Rush is super good, and I totally get that. But Zyrhoes, just getting 10% CDR as Janus in the early game to get you to full cooldown reduction after Soul Gem is so strong. And it's not, like I said, Dignitas doesn't fight in the early game anyways, so what are you trying to stay invested for, you know? Like, just go to the Mage's Blessing, and you're not really that much farther behind in your build. You've got more mana regen in the early game, and then now you get full CDR after just 3 items. It accelerates your build by 300 or 700 gold, sure, but is that really worth losing that CDR?
Ooh, Trix under a bit of pressure. He's going to need to ult defensively here. You saw the burst check, but Emil on the right-hand side. Great play from QvoFred. They just snuck a kill as Obey were being distracted, actually, by Trixtank there. At first, you're like, what's he doing?
Right.
He's distracted.
Yeah, where's iRaffer's ultimate in that spot to help out Xaliea? He's distracted in the mid lane. That's definitely the right word for it. Trix and Zyrhoes able to dangle the carrot in front of Obey Alliance.
No looking in the water is consumed either from Xaliea. Quite interesting to see what happened there. Clearly,
probably Fear No Evil.
Yeah,
Fear No Evil in dead before he ended up
seems so.
Getting out of the fear from that Batz ultimate.
Now, going back to what you said about the Janus build, though, yeah, you know, the Mage's Blessing, yeah, gives you a bit more MP5, but so does Chronos Pendant. I mean, once you've got on the line, you never need to base again. So rushing that is kind of a safer option too in that sense.
Right, but normally you want to build this Boots 2 Lost Artifact start is all in the name of buying your boots, and then being there for the first buff respawn to try and invade.
Right.
Dignitas didn't do that. You either want to do it to invade or to defend your own buffs from an invade that you expect. And I don't think it's fair to expect an invade from Twig, Prime, and iRaffer. That 3v3 is not particularly good at the 4-minute mark.
But Twig is still one of those junglers that will be the invader of invaders. If anything, him and Ice Baby are probably the crowns of that in Europe, I'd say.
The back camp bandits.
Always looking for the back camps. Yeah,
right.
The back camp bandits.
But at the same time...
You and your bees today.
That's what I'm all about, dude. Bee student right here. Dignitas has such a good composition at fighting at that point. It's just better than Obey's because they have an Amaterasu, which is just the highest value character on the map at 4 minutes. It changing a fight in your favor that I really don't think it was necessary for Zyrhoes to do it. It's just kind of this flavor thing where everyone's experimenting, it feels like, without going for blessings after accepting that they were core for so long that this is the natural progression of how builds kind of go.
Sure.
I imagine sooner rather than later mid laners are going to start going back towards Mage's Blessing in situations like this, where you're not rushing Book of Thoth, you're not trying to get a stacking item on early, and you're not worried about invades.
Golf Fury pulled by Dignitas, both solo lanes. Did a bit of awkwardness, both using the teleports to get to here, but nothing ended up happening. And I think Dignitas are like, well, if Variety's here, we should try and make something happen. But the Oracles went the way of Obey already, and Trix is a little bit far forward on his own. Where's his team?
He's got to use that ultimate. Has a portal for himself if necessary. Xaliea is going to try and use this as initiation, just slowing everybody down. That chases out the shell, but doesn't go for the pluck right away, knowing that Fear No Evil is coming.
And there it is, on towards Xaliea, who's evaporated, but a big sonic boom from Twig allows Ataraxia to take out Zyrhoes. He throws Cuvo back to Ataraxia, who gets a double kill, but Variety answers back himself, and Arkkyl looks a couple of members Obey low.
Great shots from Arkkyl. iRaffer used the ultimate for PrettyPriMe to make sure that third snipe didn't kill him, but Dignitas in control. Now back towards the Gold Fury. Prime healing up off his zombies, though.
I don't think he can really contest. Trix goes to the forefront. It's on iRaffer, really, but maybe Prime gets a window now as Trix is distracted. They don't see Prime coming, but he do. iRaffer's still alive for a minute as Prime gets one. Gold Fury getting low, but it's healthy enough to dissuade Dig doing the Gold Fury.
Love that play from iRaffer. That is classic iRaffer in that spot. I'm dying, but here's a 3-man taunt for some follow-up. Opwash is that's the dream for Opwash in that spot. A good follow-up from Prime, but it's all set up by iRaffer. It's not often you see a team lose a fight where your jungler gets a 4-man sonic boom, but Xaliea was so far forward that that's the only outcome, really. I mean, he uses Lurking in the Waters there way too early when you really need to be using Lurking in the Waters as a finishing tool or a please don't fear no evil me tool. And as soon as he uses it and backs up, you could tell that Xaliea knew he was dead at that spot, but Quvo still able to separate that team fight so perfectly.
It felt so much like a comedy of errors there because there was nobody really wanted to initiate. Trix got caught, had to ult. Then Xaliea goes, oh, we can go aggressive now, but then he gets caught and it turns into a big old team fight in a very awkward spot because whoever comes out on top gets the Gold Fury. So they're both scared of losing that on top of the team fight, which made it a very interesting chain of events. But Dig come up in terms of kills. That's about it. The gold, still relatively the same.
It's also that Twig's early start has set him behind. He's been behind in net worth this whole time to QvoFred. And if he's level 15 at that spot and hits a 4-man sonic boom, he might kill somebody. It doesn't have to go for Magi's Cloak afterwards.
I was now, pretty defensive build.
He's so threatened by the CC chain of Team Dignitas because of his low level that he's kind of forced into this.
So he's going to have to play on the defensive for now. The Oracles this time go the way of Dignitas. Yeah, the last ones went to Obey, and that's what all the fighting began over. But both the solo laners don't have teleport just yet. Xalia's is up, however. Variety's up soon. And that's kind of where that whole fight began. Way back when was Xaliea TP'd, and then Variety went, well, I guess I'll TP too, and we had a little dance.
Well, cosmic inevitability has been fulfilled. If there's a weird item that hunters might be able to buy, Ataraxia is going to fit it into the build in some way, and indeed he goes for the Silver Branch Bow. This item, I think, has a spot, but it has to change your whole build path. And it can only be on certain characters, ones with very potent attack speed steroids.
It's got pen,
Chernobog,
it's got power, it's got attack speed.
And it's not particularly expensive.
The only thing it's really missing from a hunter's point of view is either movement speed or crit.
Sure.
Right?
But you just don't build crit after this. You just go into pure attack speed from here on out. Your build should basically be Executioner, chin size, is maybe another thing like that. Maybe an Odysseus bow.
Zyrhoes has to beat defensively and get through his portal, and that's a good little window now for Obey at the right sort of time around a Gold Fury that was being looked at by Dignitas cheekily for a moment, but knowing that Zyrhoes doesn't have his beads available, that's kind of subsided for a moment or two once more. And going back to what you were saying, I mean, this build, you need to have a steroid as a hunter to really make use of this, right?
Need to for sure. And the problem with Chernobog with Silver Branch Bow is that you think of other attack speed steroids, Rom Pick Me Up, Artemis Vengeful Assault, Apollo Audacity. That all of those, well, except for Apollo Audacity because that's a set amount of shots. Those are longer lasting steroids. Vicious Barrage is nuts, but it doesn't last that long, and so you don't have a whole lot of time to make use of that over cap because you're not going to sit over cap all the time. So it makes it a little bit softer, I think, on a character like Chernobog. I think on Apollo it makes a lot of sense as long as you can land those 5 auto attacks. it feels a lot better in those sorts of spots.
You only really want it for team fights, though, right? You want it for like the burst of aggression. So when you do pop the pick-me-up, or when you do hit the steroid on Artemis, or even the ult from a Chernobog,
right,
you're looking for the aggressive moment then, which is when you want that to, you know, make an impact.
Exactly. I mean, you've always attack speed steroid button is always been the built-in gas pedal of the attack speed class, or the hunter class, right? Sure, you can't build Sprint 3 for yourself for 900 gold anymore on a 30-second or 60-second cooldown, whatever it was, and I miss it too. I was definitely an ADC main back then, because
really?
who wouldn't be? I mean, those were the golden days, dude. You did 1 million damage, had an insanely intense, that's the word I'm gonna use, intense relic choice. Those were the good old days. But anyways, this Silver Branch bow is very much the same, and it's as Trixtank is about to stun someone, as Fear No Evil is coming out, that's when it's my time to use my steroid and hit harder. I just don't know how much overcap Ataraxia will be at this point.
Gold Fury started, all been below half health. The Fear No Evil from QvoFred to try and secure. They get the Gold Fury, but they use an ultimate. That's a big team fight one defensively to secure it. Trix could get picked off here. He's going to get away in time. Beautiful pulls from Zyrhoes. Variety forced to beat, and Xaliea still chasing.
Xaliea should have Variety dead to rights in this spot. Variety no ultimate. Pluck off the mark, though, and there's a lot of people filing in.
But Variety's still alive for now, but the ultimate from the crits from PrettyPriMe will secure the kill. And Variety, a casualty for a Gold Fury, is not a bad situation for Dignitas. But if Obey can just find something now with Variety being dead.
Could be tier 1 in mid, though Twig is backing, which makes me think it's going to be Pyromancer instead. Not a lot of sustain for other teammates. Individual characters on Obey have sustain in the Sobek and the Opwash, but can't give that over.
Arkkyl does have his ultimate, but he's going to go up looking for snipes, I think, but he's going to be a little bit too late to go for it there. He didn't actually end up going up. I thought he did. I thought I heard it. They caught him in the eye, but it was a rollout instead as the Pyro does go down. So Gold Fury for Pyromancer, in the grand scheme of things, it's relatively even. It's
totally fine. I do love QvoFred just going, we're securing this now. Like, we are committing to this. And Twig, again, had another really, really good Sonic Boom that nearly got there because you're CC immune during that travel time, so he's not going to be pushed away by Fear No Evil. Got there just a hair too late and ends up not able to steal it.
Left-hand side, though. Sorry, right-hand side, I should say. Bit of pressure now because Arkkyl's over here as well. Dignitas starting to group up a little bit more so on the right-hand side, leaving Ataraxia to free farm a little bit. Level 19 and 20 for the Hunters in this game so far. Mid laners trailing a little bit further behind.
Looks like Twig is going for some crit now after the Magi's Cloak. And normally you'll see 4th item is kind of the sweet spot for Magi's because that's when it starts to be 5-on-5 team fights consistently.
Rage before that normally?
It's usually whatever crit item you want. Some will go Poison Star, some will go Rage, some will go Deathbringer right off the bat. There are different ways that you can do it. I'm not sure there's one mathematically correct item in that spot. It's just that normally you're waiting for Magi's Cloak until everyone's grouping up. But Twig goes with the better safe than sorry route. Would rather have it early than end up late and lose it and really need it at a time and not really have it. Now, I mean, he got, what, 1 assist since that Magi's Cloak happened? So he would have had 1 stack on Rage. That's not a huge loss to what he would have had. And now, if he can get a team fight going in their favor, his next crit item, and I hope there is one, will be that much better.
So we talked about Soul Gem on Zyrhoes a little bit earlier on, specifically on Janus. My only concern is against an Opwash, when Opwash can look for stuns off of heals.
Oh, yeah.
And when you look at the roster they've got here, Variety's got sustain, Trix is going to be bringing some out here as well. Zyrhoes is going to be healing his teammates through the Soul Gem, which could proc these stuns, which could adversely affect his team.
That'd be pretty troll. No, that's a great point by you. I think there is some argument to be made. Yes, Soul Gem in your regular Janus game should be bought 100% of the time. It is that good on this character. However, in this matchup against the Opwash that can really pose you for healing at the wrong time if you get hit by Fleeting Breath, could turn the game around. And I think there is an argument to be made. The idea is that Zyrhoes is keeping track of Fleeting Breath cooldown and throwing them out in between that, but God bless. The dude should not be playing Smite and should be working for NASA if that's the case.
He's going to keep track of Opwash's cooldowns, as well as his own cooldowns to make sure when he's got it up and available. And then whether his teammates need healing or don't need healing. In a team fight around a Gold Fury or a Fire Giant, if Digger grouped up, that could spell doom.
Miss me with that. It's really just Zyrhoes going, I don't think it'll happen. I don't think I'll heal someone right as they get hit by fleeting breath.
Honestly, I can see people overlooking it a little bit too.
No, I definitely did. It never crossed my mind. It wouldn't surprise me if it didn't cross Zyrhoes'. And if it did, I really think it is as simple as, I don't think it'll happen. And if it does, then I'm going to laugh at you because that's your fault, not mine.
It's my general predictions of the season, right? Just coming through again. QvoFred forced to beads on the left-hand side. Gold Fury's due up in 45 seconds. Those beads not up for another minute and a half now.
Good.
Which means there's a nice window for some taunts to come out from iRaffer, looking for some setup for Prime.
And Quvo is not going for the Magi's Cloak. He's going full damage as an assassin. And this
last
is something
item,
we don't really see. Yeah, it could certainly be last item. I think Spirit Robe probably a little bit better, but either one is okay in that spot. I really love that Quvo's committing to the full damage, though. Batz is that character that can 1v1 you in the late game very easily if he catches you with that. Even with beads, that half a second of Fear No Evil and you're standing in dot damage is very easy for him to get those kills. His Hydra's proc is going to hit you for 1,000,000 with Transcendence in the build as well. I understand why we don't see full damage assassin play in SPL very often, because teams are so good at turning and burning on someone they're able to kill. But when you do see it, it enables you to make so many plays. Definitely.
And when you look at what Quvo's going to have to deal with, he's going to be the one looking at Prime if he can get hold of him. So bursting that character down as quick as possible before he can turn it around, it is important. Gold Fury! Started up by Obey. Zyrhoes has eyes on him. I don't think they recognized it was being done, actually. I thought they did, but no, not to be. Free Gold Fury for Obey. Very well done. Raffer's just going to dash away mid after drawing some attention. And Obey, well, they take the lead in this game for now.
I feel like Dignitas had to know that was happening and had to make a call that they don't have the relic, like
space and time. Like, you at least throw space and time there, right?
Yeah. I don't know. That just feels like a really
CDR?
weird. Sure. That feels like a very weird Gold Fury to give up, is what I mean. Even if you're out of position, you're right. Through space and time is there. It's that Quvo doesn't have beads. That Rom snipes could have been there, but I just feel like Dignitas knew it and decided against contesting for whatever reason.
It's very rare that we get a laning phase that goes 26 minutes, but this is what we've got here. All the tier 1 towers are still standing. Every single tower's taken a hair of poke here or there, and both teams in a position that level 20's on the card, so experience not as important. Gold, sure, a few more levels as we approach the 30-minute mark. Quvo, no beads, remember, has to fear no evil, still under pressure.
Sonic Boom just misses for CaptainTwig, but doesn't matter. Ataraxia able to bring down QvoFred. Arkkyl's Aegis is there just in case from Xalia's ultimate as well, and this could be a fire giant for Obey.
Yeah, the space and time from Zyrhoes just tickled Ataraxia a little bit. They didn't catch the full whiff of what they were after, but Obey opened the window by taking out Quvo, whose beads were still on cooldown. Gets a pyro, and hello. Well, we are nearly 30 minutes in. Why not a fire giant? We don't need a team fight.
Level 20, the Trixtank gonna take a lot of damage here, but good heal coming from Variety's Consigned Spirits. Twig pretty far forward, but Magi's was good.
Life of the party consumed, and Raffer gets pulled in, so does Xaliea. The two tanks on the front line, not going to be too upset. Variety got nowhere to go. Yeah, he'll sustain, but he doesn't get the heal in time. Two members dead of Dignitas. Obey back to the fire giant.
Arkkyl snipes are up, so that's an opportunity to try and steal it, but he doesn't have the beads available right here. He has to go up to try and stay alive.
But when he comes back down, they're going to all be waiting for him. Plenty of damage there. Good roll away. Good pluck back in. Xaliea gets his lurk in the waters back up for good measure as Prime goes on to a killing spree. No fire giant, however.
Good enough, yeah. That's good enough because Quvo's back up and has the opportunity. Zyrhoes nearly hit Ataraxia with that through space and time and took a guess on when he was going out of darkness. Guessed wrong, unfortunately, for the Dignitas mid laner, but good defense from Dignitas keeps Obey off FG. This, like I said, this is a big set for Obey and where they are in the grand scheme of Europe. This has been impressive. No matter the outcome of this game, I'm impressed.
It is impressive, but I'm actually impressed with what Dig's done. They've actually just kind of sat back a lot in this game going, okay, like, we'll lose a couple objectives here and there. We've made some mistakes, but we're still keeping pace. Like, we're allowing them to come onto us, and we're looking to reinitiate. If Ataraxia gets caught there, that's a longer time for Obey to be at a disadvantage around the fire giant with Arkkyl respawning.
If it wasn't for that Gold Fury, I would be saying that Dignitas is calculating what they can give up, what they can take, and they feel like they're still in control, but it does feel like Obey is starting to dictate the pace a little bit more than Dignitas really wants.
All ultimates for Obey available outside of Wrath. Sonic Boom off the mark from Twig again. Ataraxia's in the sky looking to dive back in. He goes straight towards Zyrhoes, who Aegis is early on. Xaliea going to detonate soon, and boom! Pop goes the Janus. He's down and out of the fight as QvoFred reinitiates.
But Prime already so low. Jukes out that somersault, and it's Quvo who falls. Trix does end up taking down Prime as Twig handling Arkkyl on the left.
Yeah, Twig's going to keep him busy, but the snipes are good. Dash into the wall from Ataraxia keeps him alive, though. And Arkkyl under pressure gets some good peel from his team. Trixtank back to the front line as iRaffer escorts CaptainTwig out of the danger zone. Ward coming through as Xalia's back in action.
Good heal from Variety, and the movement speed gets him out of range of iRaffer. And now iRaffer has to be careful, but Xaliea and Quvo and Twig doing such a good job zoning everyone away.
Keep an eye on iRaffer. He's going back to base, but has his ultimate to come back in, and Twig might need a bit of help if the continuation goes on.
Man.
But Trix sees it, backs away. This is good smite.
Yeah, this is
good smite.
This is heavyweights, man. Just body blow after body blow.
You can watch this from any perspective and see so many little things that they're doing. It's great.
It's been very close, and they're PrettyPriMe. Just if he stays alive a little bit longer, this whole fight goes Obey's way, hand over fist, because of that opwash sustain.
Trix pulled into the fire giant pit, but dashes away. Keeps him busy as the space and time fired off. Obey recognizing that, knowing that now will be a bit of a window again for them. Remember, Zyrhoes just used his beads and Aegis in the last fight. Now the ult's on cooldown. It's time for Dig to play safe for a moment and wait for some cooldowns.
Certainly have to wait for them, because Quvo does have the Magi's Cloak now, but no beads or blink for him for a little bit. No relics for Zyrhoes for over a minute. At this point, Variety's beads are down as Trix has been on the receiving end of more taunts than iRaffer would have liked.
Well, listen, Trix is doing his job frontlining where he can. He did have to use his shell there, though. Has his ultimate available. As round the corner, Sonic Boom hits Arkkyl, but Arkkyl insta-beats to turn around. Zyrhoes still being chased by Xaliea.
Xalia's dead to the reach proc from iRaffer. Variety does get the sun onto iRaffer, but that's what iRaffer wanted all along.
Oh, he just allowed Xaliea and the crypts to open under the tier 2. The tier 2 tower should fall as Twig takes one. This could be game off this. Yes, we've not had many team fights, but the respawn times alone are almost a minute.
I don't know. This Titan is going to be so tanky. There's still every tower up.
You're right.
On the map on the mid and left, but there's 30-plus seconds. I think they could end from here. Prime has so much objective damage. You lay down all those corpses right on the Titan, it's tough to stop.
Maybe Trixtank can do the one-man defense. He's got 20 seconds until Zyrhoes is up. Trix trying to avoid the Athena rule and get towards the carries, but it's going to be good enough.
Yeah, that's it. Obey Alliance take game one, and it wasn't a dominant fashion, but they were in command.
That was a Season 2 set.
That was good, man. That was really, really fun to watch. That was impressive from Obey Alliance. Dignitas was trying to play that slow game that they love to play of just wait it out, and wait it out, and wait it out, and then eventually we'll win, right? But that time they didn't.
When you go to Janus, you're looking for one space and time to turn the fight around. Wasn't to be the case there. Dignitas fall down in game 1, and that was a Season 2 set of, well, Season 2 game, I should say. I think we're going to get a set out of it now, of this dance between defense, offense, and just good team fights.
I mean, where did all of those fights take place? There was a long one by the Gold Fury, a long one by Blue Buff. It's all in the jungle, and that's where Opwash wants to fight you because he has so much more AoE control than basically any other mage in the game. His ultimate goes through walls in the jungle. You can't escape it. They're all those corpses are slowing you. He can heal himself up, juke around those walls. Once Fear No Evil and Through Space and Time are done, the AoE just isn't there at all from Dignitas' composition. So I love where Obey chose to take their fights.
Especially with Dig already beating Rival and, of course, Energy beforehand. Who do you guys think was MVP for that game is a real question. I'm going to turn that one to you, actually. I think Xaliea was actually a monster.
Xaliea was good. I think it might be iRaffer. iRaffer was setting up a whole lot. Ataraxia did very well with that Chernobog build with the Silver Branch bow. Did ultimately go Executioner Chins, Odysseus bow for that full attack speed. That was just a good team effort. Prime looked good. Take your pick for Obey Alliance.
You guys take your pick as we go to the desk to break down game 1 and look forward to an exciting game 2.
Thanks, Hindu. Thanks, Aggro. Finch and Totally going to be the ones to bring you the breakdown one more time as Obey Alliance, perhaps a bit upset of a bit of an upset here up against Dignitas. We knew it was going to be a good set, though, I thought, coming into this, and Obey really showed it here.
Scrim partners, no surprise that Obey Alliance, the team that are less predicted to win, come out on top through those mind games. The Athena Sobek combination providing so much control, even finding that first blood onto Variety with a great pluck from Xaliea to start off the game. Didn't really see too much action afterwards. Both teams kind of swindling the Gold Fury 1-for-1, and then that team fight around 26, 27 minutes basically lasted the remainder of the next 4 to 5 minutes, where finally the double crowd control Athena Sobek was managing to win it out.
Yeah, it went all the way right up until the end of the game, and it sounds like PrettyPriMe is the one that gets selected here as your MVP, and for good reason. I mean, my man continues to make the case for this Puch in the mid lane, to the point where until you figure out how to do something about it, you might just have to take this away from him, pick it, ban it, whatever you have to do, because he continually gets it done for the squad. The Crips controls too much space. You saw him fall up off of iRaffer around that initial Gold Fury attempt that was coming up from Dignitas. He's able to get a kill there and force him away. He just does so much on it.
If you don't have like an Odin Cage, Cabrakan, Thorwall, anything to really lock down his position, yeah, it's difficult to kill him, especially once Gem of Isolation gets completed, providing so much slow during the ultimate. You also got CaptainTwig penetrating the backline with the Sonic Boom. PrettyPriMe can peel for himself, which allows Xaliea and also the support just to go ham every time, right?